With Season 10 arriving today, we know the map's getting shooken up with some new POIs arriving into the game. So now, it's time to learn these new areas and look at where the most OP landing spots are, and if the new areas are the meta, or just another option. But of course, everyone can't land at the same spot, and maybe you're not looking for a new drop spot necessarily. But you can always tweak your current loot path to include more loot or faster map collection. So we'll take a look at some of the new POIs in depth to see how good they actually are. I also want to share a checklist I like to follow whenever I'm changing drop spots, because going in blind can not only leave me vulnerable, but can also have me miss out on extra loot and mats that I could have easily harvested. I do just want to quickly ask you guys, if you do enjoy these videos or my content, to like and subscribe, as it helps me create more content for you guys. If you do want to support me even more, you can always use code SALAGE in the item shop. Other than that, let's hop right into the video. We'll first take a look at the brand new POIs and rank them on some of the base criteria that I look at and analyze when choosing a POI. After, we'll take a look at the changes to some of the older POIs and analyze them as well. What we'll gauge them by are as follows: natural movement, so this could be seasonal rotations such as slipstreams or rift, and as our season 10 movement is nothing, it's going to be kind of hard because we don't really have the best way to base anything off, as a lot of the movement has been removed with this season. Next, we have material availability, which is very important because you have to know how many mats are available in your POI. Is it an even spread of wood, brick, and metal, or is it lacking in some areas? If it is lacking, can you quickly rotate out to get that material that you're missing? Next, which I think is by far one of the things I look for most, is loot and vending availability. Is there enough loot within your POI, both chest and floor spawns, to make sure you're getting the maximum amount of shield you can possibly get, and that you're able to scavenge a good shotgun off of floor loot? As well, how many vending machines are in your POI? They're a great way to get high tier weapons easily and reduce RNG on loot such as getting scars, shield, and combat, and it's really a great way to make sure you're coming out with something solid in your arsenal. Lastly, what are the other pros and cons of the POI? Is there things such as mushroom, bananas, or coconuts, or is there something like natural hype that can grief your early game? Some of these POIs are meant for more aggressive players who are looking to drop big kill games, and others are meant for the passive player who are just looking to get a win. I'll mention which one they're more tailored to at the end of each analysis. I also do just want to quickly interject and mention that I had this video planned before the season changed, and my goal was to wake up and go over the map and see what has all changed and kind of give you guys some input and what's really the best place to land. But unfortunately, there wasn't as many changes to the map as I had initially thought. But that is okay, because I still think there are some really cool changes and some big features that I think most people have still not experienced. So let's start going over them. The first POI we'll take a look at is by far my favorite spot. I used to land there way back in the day when I first started playing Fortnite, and it holds quite a special spot in my heart, and that is factories. It has a reasonable amount of loot for both a duo and a trio, depending on how lucky you get. For all these numbers I'm about to give on spawn rates, these are the maximum number you could possibly get to spawn, so don't expect to always get one of these spawns. For a single chimney, you have a possibility of 4 floor spawns and 3 chest spawns, and it also has a couple of pallets that you can pick up on the way for some quick mats. Double chimney has a crazy 10 floor spawns and only 1 chest spawn though. Lastly, flat roof has 6 floor spawns and 1 chest spawn. Outside, there is a truck that has a single chest spawn, and inside the antenna there has 3 floor spawns. Being in the central section of the map allows you to not need any sort of movement or rotation, which is hard to come by this season, as just about every rotation has been vaulted at this point. But this can also be a drawback as well. Since you're sandwiched in between retail, salty, and dusty, that means players can easily rotate in and clean you up if you're not fast enough to clear the players out that landed with you. The mats here, however, are overall not the best. There's no huge nodes of rock or metal like in other POIs, and all that you really have is the forest that is right outside the factories. There's not anywhere that's close where you can go and get the extra wood, metal, and brick you may need in a normal pub match. If you're in a custom or in a qualifier, then you should have no problem capping on the 500 max and with the faster harvest time. The second POI we're going to take a look at is Dusty Divot, which has some similarities in terms of positional advantage, but the loot here is more sparse, and the mats even less. In the red warehouse, there are 2 chest spawns, 4 floor spawns inside, and 2 on top. The blue warehouse has 2 chest spawns, 1 floor spawn, and 1 top spawn. And lastly, the gray warehouse has 1 chest, 2 loot spawns, and 1 top spawn. There's also 1 spawn in each alley in between the warehouses. And one thing that none of the other new POIs have is a vending machine. It's actually positioned in the northeast corner right outside of the warehouse. Now, even though Dusty and Factory share a relatively similar position on the map, Dusty has a slight advantage as they most likely won't be flanked from behind if they do decide to push the players who land factories. This means they won't be pinched in between 2 teams and don't have to worry about behind them as well, since there's no major POIs that would be in that direction that players would rotate in from. But Dusty does have the benefit of more than likely getting zone, which with the movement we currently have in the game, makes it stand out more than you'd think. It doesn't really hold up too well with mats though. While there are quite a few pallets inside of the warehouse, that's about all you can get unless you want to slowly farm out the walls and roofs to gather enough mats. But it's really going to be slow and not worth it in comparison when you could easily rotate to Retail Forest or maybe go up a little bit north to grab some brick. This is going to give you a lot more options in terms of mat rotation in comparison to factories. The last new POI that we got is the Meteor. It has a total of 10 floor spawns and 3 chest spawns, which makes it a really high concentrated drop spot, but it has one major downfall. There is 0 mats that you can farm on top of the Meteor. However, if you're playing squads, this could be a great way to split your team up to make sure that everyone is getting enough loot. Have 1 to 2 people go Meteor while the other 2 land on factories, and since the Meteor gives you an impulse effect, you can also jump down whenever you're done looting. Now, I won't dive too deep into the Meteor as it's quite similar to factories as you have to jump down to rotate out, but one thing that you can use the Meteor to your advantage that I didn't mention in the factories is that the height that it provides is pretty invaluable. Not being able to be touched the entire time you're up on the Meteor because nobody's going to have enough mats to build up, or you can just shoot them out before they even have a chance. If you take your shots at the right time, you can easily weaken your opponent below before jumping on them, or you can support your team from afar. Finally, to a POI that is not new, Loot Lake. It may not have undergone any crazy changes, but it by far has one of the most powerful movement tools in the game currently, and that is the ball that floats in the middle. It works as an infinite rift and allows you to rotate just about anywhere the circle ends up. But this is great for anyone that lands on this side of the map, because you can easily rotate into it like you would with the geysers or just a normal rift. So if you do land Pleasant or the block, it is a great area to aim for if you have to rotate far. But this also means that a lot of players as well are going to be rotating in, which means if you're looking to play aggressive and pick up players rotating, this is a great spot to do so, as they're always going to be attracted to the movement in that side of the map, and this will be the one place in the map that you're probably always going to find players hanging around or coming to. Now, I didn't plan to talk about this in this video, but since Epic decided to go against what they have typically done every season, and adding a new type of natural movement such as slipstreams or rifts, planning an efficient drop route is so much more important at this point, and knowing more than one to make sure if zone is in a different direction, you're not following a path that leads you away from zone. By far, the most important thing is knowing the chests and vending machine spawns. This will allow you to pick a path that will get you the most of both, and hopefully get you kitted the fastest. Also, looking for high density mat areas will help you pick up mats on your way from chest to chest. There are a couple maps out there that I will link in the description. They won't be fully updated for Season 10, but it's alright since only one area has really changed. These maps will show you exactly where all the chests, vehicles, and vending machine spawns are within the map. I'm sure within a week or two, the maps will be fully updated for Season 10. Now, to give you guys an in-depth look at how to create your own loot path, I'm going to show you an old loot path of mine from about a season or 2 ago. I haven't used it in a while since it's a little bit harder to stay together and you don't get that more aggressive play right off the rip. Which, if you're a passive player, this is actually going to be a pretty decent loot path for you as it allows you to get kitted and you're typically not contested. But if you do get contested, it's not a fun fight to have because you end up being split from your partner. Now, one thing that we would do is my partner would land at either of these cabins and I would land here. Now, I would rotate down into the cave. I'd be able to grab a bunch of brick from the rafters inside of the house and then finish up with all my wood in this area. Drop on down, loot through here, come out the backside, and then I'd have metal over in this section. Now, when we first started, we had planes, so I'd be able to grab a plane out of here, and if there wasn't a plane there, there was another one up here. Otherwise, we just used drift boards to rotate around this area as there was plenty of them lying around. My partner would come through here, go across and get a vending machine down here, be able to grab his metal, his wood, and his brick out of both of these houses. We'd both come out with a ton of loot and mobility in terms of a plane, or after the season was updated, we'll use a driftboard. Now, what really stood out to us in this area was the fact that it's rather secluded. Not many people really land over here. There was 2 planes that we could possibly have, so if one spawned, we had the other, and if neither of them spawned, we always had hoverboards as a guaranteed backup. There was also a ton of chests, not within just the cabins, but also spread out along in these open areas. We had a vending machine down here, and if we were lucky when we were rotating out, there was also a vending machine up here by Frosty. Both of those allowed us to get pretty good loot, and we weren't really contested too often. All these were things we were looking for in a drop spot, and that's why it worked out so perfectly for us, and that's why when we were planning it, we made sure we knew exactly what we wanted from a spot, and then we were able to kind of pick and choose and figure out a great way to blend them together. Season 10 is finally here though, and has brought a lot of new exciting changes to the map, and a pretty awesome battle pass in my opinion. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite change to the map is. Other than that, thank you guys all for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed all of it, and if you did, make sure to follow me over on Twitch and Twitter down in the description. I stream quite often on Twitch and tweet about my life and sneak teasers of my future maps on Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more future tips, tricks, and tutorials. If you guys want some more right away, check out the playlists and videos on screen for some great ways to elevate your game. Other than that, thank you guys all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.